Okay, the sixth meeting of the Commission on Father, Men, and Boys is now adjourned. My name is George Garrow. I'm chair of the commission. And Tony Duggar, executive director. And all of our commissioners here, I'll ask them to engage in roll call, starting at my left.
Don Smith.
From left to right.
Okay. Franklin Malone, present. Don Smith.
I'm Jelani Moraine.
Silas Grant. Ivory Tolson.
Introduce yourself, the executive director.
Executive Director Tony Duggar for the Commission on Father, Men, and Boys.
Sure. We have a full meeting tonight. We'll begin by having Mr. Duggar explain briefly the commission's mission.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Commission on Father, Men, and Boys was established by the City Council in 2013 to address disparities among father, men, and boys in the District of Columbia in the areas of education, economic opportunity, fatherlessness, health and well-being, issues of public safety, and the reintegration of returning citizens. The Commission implements its mission by acquiring pertinent information from key stakeholders, public forums, working groups, technical advisors, and research. And each year, the Commission is expected to provide an annual plan and report to the mayor and the council on its findings.
Thank you. I think most of you know this is the first year of the commission. It's our sixth meeting. All of our meetings have been very interesting and informative. It's given that it's our first year, we're sort of feeling our way in terms of determining and figuring out what our actual impact will be. But we believe 2017 will usher in second year of the commission and new and exciting other opportunities that we think we're prepared to take on. Right now, we'll have approval of the minutes, both September 21st and October 19th, 2016. Presumably the commissioners have taken a look at the minutes, both minutes. Are there any questions with respect to the minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion for passage of both meeting minutes, 4 and 5.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead. Make a motion that we accept both minutes onto the record as presented.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Tony, Mr. Duggar is going to acknowledge the special guest that we have here tonight.
Sure. I believe it's probably, we have about two main speakers. I think it's would be important to recognize we have Commissioner Burnett in. Kendrick Jackson, who is connected to the new work of the administration that has tremendous synergy with the Commission on Father, Men, and Boys, and that's the work of my brother's keeper. We'll hear a lot more about their work that is being headed by Dr. Roger Mitchell, who is the chief medical examiner for the District of Columbia, and Mr. Jackson works very closely with Dr. Mitchell. I probably want to say that we are proud of the fact that Dr. Mitchell currently right now is probably at the White House with a major event pertaining to my brother's keeper. And so I just wanted to formally recognize him in the meeting and the work, of course, that closely aligns with this commission. Would you like to acknowledge yourself, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Brad, other gentlemen here, and Commissioner. But I definitely look forward to continued work and being able to advance look forward to being able to continue working with Tony. I've only known him for about a few weeks now, but we've definitely hit the path running, and our focus within the My Brother's Keeper initiative here through the mayor's office is going to be helping organizations grow by funding and supporting them. 4 areas that we're focused on are health, education, career, business opportunities, and as well as justice. We have a great groundwork with the work that
at some point, I think it would certainly be very beneficial for the commission probably to hear, more from Dr. Mitchell at some point, maybe
Absolutely.
in contacting him to have him come out. Probably just as chief medical examiner, I think to really speak affirmatively to the work of Dr. Mitchell. He is the person who sees the end result of what we're trying to prevent on the front. Here's the guy that's right there doing the autopsies on many of the young men that we're losing in the streets of the District of Columbia. So I respect wholeheartedly the work that he does, the perspective that he brings from the work that he continually does for the District of Columbia. So just wanted to say that. Can the gentlemen right here introduce themselves? I think they bring a unique perspective. They wanted to go to the meeting. They kind of mentioned where they're from in the hallway, and I think you're from law enforcement in some capacity. But can you just introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Investigator Gary Foreman with Office of Investigative Service. I'm game unit for DC Corrections. We received an invitation from our chief showing that he was having a meeting tonight, and we're trying to get something off the ground now pertaining to the men. Basically, we'll be looking at the men, the fathers, and the boys that are incarcerated within the system of DC. We're trying to implement a program where we can see can we reach out and touch some of these young men prior to them getting caught into the justice system. And we tell them all the time, it's a lot of times easier to get into the system, but it's hard getting out. So we look for different ways to network with people within the community so we can get out and maybe reach out and touch some of the people before they get incarcerated. We see them all the time coming through the system. We're trying to reach them before that happens.
I'm Investigator Williams, James G. Williams, and just to piggyback on what Investigator Foreman has said, once they get in the system, we talk to them, and they have a different perspective of what's going on in their life. And just as they get in, we also want to offer some type of some kind of outage where they can come out and have some way to where they can connect to employment or school or some kind of trade as well. So we're also looking for, I guess, a point of contact where directions like my brother Keeper and other necessary country we can point to.
Investigator Miranda, we're trying to help all these young guys that come to the facility. Always talk to them like they said. It's a pity we got a lot of young guys, getting into drugs and all that. So we always talk to them, try to put them in the right way, but they got different minds, they're having problems with the family, and that's why they just fell into that. So it's a pleasure to be here and be part of it.
Sure. Thank you very much. Mr. Gore, can you announce your organization for us real quick in education?
Good evening, Thomas Gore. I'm representing the Community College Preparatory Academy Public Charter School for Adults. We're promoting education and certifications as a way of obtaining viable employment.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have two presenters this evening. We have the University of District of Columbia Workforce Development Lifelong Learning Program, and we have Office of Child Support. We are going to hear initially first from UDC, and just to give you a little background, their mission is to reduce unemployment and underemployment in the District of Columbia by enhancing the skills of its residents. The Division of Workforce Development and Lifelong Learning pursues this mission by offering courses at no cost to DC residents in high-demand, high-wage industries that are hiring in the District of Columbia as well as the metropolitan region. The Lifelong Learning Division of UDC has grown over the years and will continue to grow as needs of our educational offerings in the city, in the community, continue to be at an all-time high. And their information is reporting that they have a budget of about $3 million in local unrestricted funds that comes from the university. And that $3 million is not nearly enough, according to them, to make the true impact in the unemployed population in DC. So they are forced to constantly pursue grants to fulfill their mission. You'll probably hear a little more about that. And though they have mentioned that they've been successful in obtaining grant funding, that funding is not sustainable, and it is meant to be in addition to a normal operating budget. And so with that tidbit of information, just kind of to add on to that, having worked with them and talked with them probably now over the last year, most of the students that attend their programs are from east of the river. They are innovative in trying to address recruitment and retention issues, particularly with males, in terms of trying to move them forward to complete programs. And I think the number one barrier to that, if I recall, is in the area of transportation. But I'm going to give you Mr. Darius Baker, who is the current site director for the PR Harris campus for the Workforce Development and Lifelong Learning Program. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Brother Duggan. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Darius Baker. I'm the site director for Patricia Roberts Harris Educational Campus, and we are actually with the flagship. We're the first official site for the Workforce Development Program with the University of the District of Columbia. And so we've browsed out, and I'll show you through my presentation, through a few wards, mainly 5, 7, right here in Ward 8, and also 801 North Capitol. But and let me dive into my presentation and not talk too much for you all. So if you can, so essentially, I said, what better way to introduce everyone to what we have at the University of the District of Columbia than for you to go through the information session, essentially, okay? So just some background information there. So we were founded in 2009, and essentially our mission, there and still is to reduce underemployment and unemployment for our DC residents. And we do this by enhancing their skills through some type of training, through some type of certification program. I love stating this part about it is that our programs are typically at no cost for our DC residents. And we stress this. We pay millions and millions of dollars for these programs, for the resources, for our residents to come to these programs at no cost. And so we cannot stress that. Now, there are some programs or some prerequisites to some of our programs. So say for instance, if they're in the healthcare field, there are background checks before they enter hospitals. They have to have this CPR certifications. They have to have, maybe they have to have their up-to-date TB shots or up-to-date physical. And those are kind of the outliers. Some of the barriers that some of our students reach, we find out that they're able to get that. They're able to go through that first phase. So for those, in particular for those programs, they may incur a cost. But for the majority, it's typically at no cost. All of our certifications are regionally and nationally certified or recognized. And so even if they don't stay in the District of Columbia, they decide to move to Maryland or even California, they can take this certification with them. It sticks with them, okay? Again, like I was stating earlier, we are in several wards throughout the city, okay? 2 sites right here in Ward 8. That's the United Medical Center, where we do the majority of our direct healthcare programs. PR Harris, that's my site, where we really house just about every program that we have, from construction to information technology to healthcare to hospitality and tourism. We have them all at PR Harris. The same at Bertie Backus. SHAD, is a little limited towards being more of a construction center, but we have a lot of our heavy-duty construction equipment at the Marion SHAD campus. And then also at the community college, 801 North Capitol, where we have a few of our HVAC courses, but mainly that's our primary office hub. Now, these are some of the programs.
How about Bertie Backus? How about Bertie Backus?
I'm sorry, did I skip Bertie Backus? My apologies. Bertie Backus. Okay, that's and my apologies for that, because that's our Ward 5 campus. We don't want to dismiss them, but Bertie Backus is right there on South Dakota Avenue. The majority of our sites are all of them are metro accessible. As far as Bertie Backus, they walk right off the metro, almost into the campus, just walking across South Dakota from Fort Tyler.
Is there a specific focus at Bertie Backus in terms of your program coverage?
So Bertie Backus pretty much houses all of our programs as well.
Okay.
From our health. PR Harris, Bertie Backus, we pretty much house all of the programs with the exception of our direct care health programs, which are all at the United Medical Center. And that's because there's specialized equipment,
Sure.
and we get them used to the hospital field, get them used to the hospital environment. They wear the scrubs. They have to, they go through the whole sanitation process when they're dealing with equipment. So you can't get a better experience than being at that hub, okay? So our career pathways, healthcare, construction, and now and I'll skip over two, but I want to go to our transportation because we're doing some rehauling on this transportation industry right here. Our auto tech program, we refer students to our Excel Academy. Now, the Excel Institute is not necessarily a part of UDC. The Excel Institute is a separate entity. However, since we do not hold a contract with them anymore, nor do we offer that class, we still do refer the students to the Excel Academy with our transportation certification.
They have to pay for the experience at that
No, sir.
or what?
No, sir. That is at no cost as well.
No cost as
They
well?
have a contract. Matter of fact, I think it expired with the week, but I know they have a contract with DOES that's ongoing. So they're still able to fund the students at no cost at the Excel Academy. Our construction, IT and office administration, a booming field. We tend to place over between 60 to 70% of those students directly in employment. The same with healthcare, especially direct healthcare. A high job placement rate for healthcare. Hospitality and tourism. That's a program where we just had a new director to come on, and he's really kind of renewing that program, restructuring a lot of the curriculum within that program. And so the classes here, with it being customer service, retail, front desk reps, things like that, we're really starting to look at more of like event planning and really kind of better paying jobs, so to speak, because we had things like hotel property maintenance or even, customer service, retail. That's more of just that front desk basic experience, but we really want to try to gear some of our students, especially in the hospitality industry, towards these managerial positions. I can't really speak on it because it's not final, but we do have works underlying with several different hotel arenas around the DC area, which are looking to directly employ our students as well. And
What are the general age levels of your students?
Age levels? So 65% of our students are between the age of 20 to 39. And so you have and let's say even so about 40% of our students are between this 20 to 29 age range. And so that's the bulk of our students. We have some students who are 19 and under, but we start at 18. So that's just giving you, 18 to 19 year olds, which account for maybe about 18% of our students. And then the remainder would be typically that 40 and up group that we're dealing with.
What's the gender breakdown?
Gender, that's a good question as well. About 65% of our students are female, okay? And so this is a push for us because we need our guys in these programs. And I'll tell you an obstacle that we encounter as well, just with getting the guys in the program. Having a GED or having a high school diploma. You must have a GED or high school diploma, which I'll dive into that later on. But you must have a GED or high school diploma.
All programs?
Yes, for all of our programs, in order to enter our program. The reason is because we push students, or we would like for you to go through the pipeline into our university system. Now, being a student in WDLL, the Workforce Development Program, you are considered a UDC student. However, what we would like for you to do is, in addition to having a certification, we would also like for you to go ahead and get an associate's degree, get a bachelor's degree, and get a master's. And if you feel so bold and you feel, as they say, if you feel the froggish leap, get the doctorate, get your PhD, or get your Juris Doctorate from UDC. Yes, sir.
I understand we're talking about diverse program offering, but is there an average period of time in which a person is earning a certificate?
That's a good
certificate
question. Now,
or a license to be able to go out?
Now, because the program links vary, so let's say, for example, something like a phlebotomy technician, or even a pharmacy tech, or even a dialysis tech, that would be a 3 to 4 month class.
Okay.
you leave that class with the certification as a dialysis tech, as a
You complete the class, you leave with the
you
certification.
complete that class. So, and I'll dive into that now. Actually, you must make 80% or above on the final,
Okay.
and we pay for the certification.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you not only must you complete the class, but you must make 80% or better on the final, and we pay for that certification. Now, if you don't make 80, you can still take it. It just won't come out of our pocket.
What is DOES the first line of contact in terms of promoting the school and the programs? Are you meeting or marketing in places other than DOES? My understanding is that would be the first place.
That's a good question, but I'll tell you.
In other words, somebody who's unemployed or underemployed, seeking employment. Yeah.
Right. So, yes and no. Okay, I wouldn't say that they're the first line, but they're definitely they may be, within the first line, right? Because we're really trying to align ourselves with DCPS to catch some of these guys that are coming out. Then CSOSA is another huge avenue that we really recruit hard with. DOES, yes, we have the partnerships, especially with their construction apprenticeships that they offer. And so those are partnerships, but a lot of our programs do run hand in hand, so to speak. And so for DOES, we really look forward to having more so of job placement, or them really focusing on, after we train the student, after we get them prepared for the workforce, to then really work with them on finding various employers around the city, that are hiring within that area. Though we do have our employer outreach specialists, our career counselors, we would like for more assistance in having in placing them in several jobs around the city.
The only reason I ask is because, I thought I knew a lot about it. You've provided a wealth of information already in terms of the offerings, and I just think that there's so many citizens that are not aware of the offerings.
No, but that's true, and so that's what we're trying to do. Over the course of really this past year, is we've really beefed up our recruitment, and recruitment is just wherever we get invited to.
Right.
But that's why we're at places like this. That's why I'm at the roundtable discussions, because essentially what we're trying to do is to really get the word out to as many of our partners as possible, to as many of the agencies in DC as possible. And then that way, it's really word of mouth, But I'll tell you this, we do have a new president who's been in since about June 2015, Ronald Mason, yes. Yeah. And he has committed a certain percentage of the budget towards marketing, specifically towards the workforce development marketing.
Do you take referrals from nonprofits such as 100 Fathers Incorporated, Concerned Black Men, and so forth?
Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir, most definitely.
So just a quick question. It looks like your power's running out. Do you have a power cord in the bag? You can hand it.
That's the deal plug right in there.
Right. Yeah, we got the audio going. See you out there. You got it?
Thank you, good sir.
I guess agent could take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you let him do it and you can proceed.
There you go. Thank you. Do you have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an offering in criminal justice? It seems like that would be a good tracking system to get more people to join the, especially like the DC Police Department.
So we do have a corrections administration associate's degree, not so much as criminal justice through our workforce development program. Now, our workforce, the programs that we have through the workforce development, healthcare, through IT construction, these are programs that were identified as industry growers, as jobs in DC where it was an increase in needing employment, and so these are typically the industries that we targeted with just these 5 industries. Now, that's not to say that we've overlooked them, because we do have a university, that hints towards getting towards having a degree. However, as far as our certification programs, not necessarily within criminal justice. We do hear a lot of guys that come and they want to know about, they see our Security Plus and they're believing that that's some type of law enforcement or security. So we do have that, where we do have students that, may ask about that, but not necessarily something that we offer through the workforce.
It looks like it would be something that MPD might want to partner with you on that. I would think that they should, since most police departments are having problems with recruitment.
Most definitely.
Mr. Baker, first of all, we appreciate you coming with some hope for the citizens of the District of Columbia. As you know, we have 65,000 people in the District of Columbia that don't have a GED. We have 36,000 who are homeless and seeking a place to live. My question is this, and it's a rhetorical question. I just want to bring it out. In order for the young men that we work with to get to you, it requires a Metro card. It requires them to have to be able to eat. It requires a lot of financial hardship, even though they might have a heart to do this.
Right.
And you and I talked ahead of this. A lot of times in the district, we've had workforce development programs that did not result in a job, but also there's a need for a stipend type of service for the, we know who's out there in the community, like the guys that come from you guys, they don't have the money to sustain themselves. They might have the brain power, but not the systematic support. Right. And what I'm advocating right now is that we take a look at how we can support some stipends to get it going. My son, for example, he dropped out of school, got him in a training program through DC. They offer from DOES, and they offer at least $121 a week to help with Metro, to get there, and it works. Mm-hmm. So that's the only part that I actually see that's going to really help the young men that we're talking about, that we know about. But I think it's a great program, right. But we got to look to how we can support getting some more funding to help our young men to get there, right, and sustain it.
Right. I think that's a good point, and I think the reality is that might just be a bit beyond what you're doing in terms of your offering. I mean, you're part of a college, part of community college. I think that's an issue that the city probably needs to take a closer look at. I mean, I can speak from experiences. It used to be the executive director of Concerned Black Men National. We made a connection on several of these programs through UDC. We had to go out and get grant dollars for our work, bring the young men and young women in some cases to make these offerings available to them. Some of the offerings we were able to provide an adjunct in a fatherhood program and a veterans program. But what we had to do was to get the tokens, to get the support for the individuals, the parents in our program to make it possible.
And I'll even tell you something. We still do have a contract with Metro, or partnership rather, where they provide tokens for our students.
Metro provides?
Metro provides. Yeah. However, in the capacity of students that we serve, if we split those tokens up, we would only be able to provide transportation for a week for a student.
Yeah. You can't. You've got to target it.
That doesn't. Again, it's the same problem. Over and over again.
That's right.
So it's more of an emergency transportation fund for a student who says, hey,
That's right.
you know, I just need to lean on your shoulder for a week or two.
That's right.
And we're able to supply that, you know. But again, that's why we're out here, because we need more resources, we need more partnerships, because it's a lot of reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
You know, and what we want to do is just to continue to add tread on the same tires that we're all really rolling with, you know, but just to really start to collaborate and have more of a concise effort, concentrated effort on what we're doing. And, you know, not to keep beating the dead horse, but that is true. You know, if we could get more resources to where our guys can focus on our classes, then we would, I can't say, you know, 1 + 1 = 2 in this, but I'm pretty sure that we would see an increase in attendance. We see an increase in our pass rates. We see an increase in certification. Overwhelmingly, the majority of healthcare students are females, okay? In that same breath, that's one of our shining, we would brag all day about statistics of our students in the healthcare field because they're passing, their attendance is on point, they're passing their certifications, they're not only placing in jobs, but they're sustaining these jobs past 6 months.
And we need to make the point that, you know, just pick one certified nursing assistant, when I know from my background, you know, that program on the market outside is anywhere from $2,500 to $8,000. A person is paying out of their pocket to become a certified nursing assistant, and so it's a tremendous value that you're providing anyway. Right. We understand that our population is a special population, and particularly, for example, returning citizens, for example, there are barriers that people have to overcome.
Right.
But it is a tremendous value for people as it's being offered right now.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you know, we've been asking a lot of questions. We want to let you finish your presentation.
We've pretty much, you know, covered in our presentation. We talked about, you know, just, and essentially what we'd like to do is, like I said, prepare them for a pipeline or for a career pathway. So say for a student that's just coming in, they would start off in something like digital literacy. Learn the basics about a computer. They like it, they move on to A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. Then we talk to them with our transition counselors about entering our degree programs. So now maybe they think about getting the associate's degree. We place them in a job, they get out here, they're making a little money. They see, wow, okay, if I get a bachelor's, my salary will increase by this, you know, by X amount of dollars. And so that's what we try to continue to sell to our students when we talk about this career pathway and degree attainment. So this is typically how a schedule starts. Our schedules are flexible. We have classes in the morning. We have classes in the afternoon and at night for our students. Morning classes typically 9:30 to 12:30. Our evening classes typically 5:30 to 8:30. And so we really try to adjust the schedules for a student that's really geared towards, that's working. And then we're going all year round. We start up in January. We're gearing for our January start now. Then we kick it off again in May. And then after that, we start again in September, okay? This is really stuff really, you know, mainly for students, but just a couple of expectations, you know, is that this is college level work that the students are doing. And so some of the other issues that we encounter is that a student comes into our program and they're believing that, okay, 3 months, this is easy, I should knock it out. And they're not recognizing the amount of math that's required in the construction industry, or the amount of reading that's required if you're trying to be a certified project manager. And so what we find is that, you know, in addition to all of the barriers, it is this academic barrier that we're reaching with our students as well, where maybe they need a little bit more time, you know, but they may not have a diagnosed disability. You know, matter of fact, they identified a disability. They may have, you know, not have had an IEP throughout high school. However, over time, some of these skills are lacking, and then we find that it does relate or attribute to our students not being as successful in the classes as they would be, given that their reading or math levels are a little bit higher. Now, we do test our students, okay? In order to enter our program, they do take what we call the CASAS assessment. The CASAS assessment is just simply an adult basic skills test, it tests their competencies in math and reading. They're allowed 1 hour to take the test. These are by CASA standards, where it's 25 questions in math, 25 questions in reading. The CASAs test you at an 8th grade level. That's the basic level that we determine in order for you to be successful in these fields, right? And job readiness, okay? And then also, it would test them up into being college, having the college level readiness scores. Similar almost to like an AccuPlacer, which is what we use with the community college to assess students when they first enter. Okay? They take the CASAs. Also, depending on some of the courses that our students take, there's a North Star digital literacy assessment where there's 3 different modules that they take within the North Star. Okay? That's just information about the North Star. Now, here's an obstacle that we find from some of our guys from Morca, some of our guys from CSSD. Okay? Are these documents. DC residence, a DC driver's license, or a non-driver's license. As long as it's a DC ID, we accept that as DC residency. Also, their Social Security card. We work with them on getting these documents, Social Security and their birth certificate. But we do find that there are guys that, may just, this information is just lost over time, or they may not have this information. And then the educational status. Like I said, we reach a roadblock with some of our guys because they do not have the high school level attainment, right? They have not had a GED, or they do not have a high school diploma. And so with that,
is that an entry requirement or something that can be earned? Okay.
Yes, it is. Now, rewind to really fast forward to what we're trying to do in 2017 is to have a GED component. But that's talks amongst some of the senior leadership at UDC is to really add a GED component, because we recognize that that's a need, and we're missing thousands and thousands of students every semester, because they don't have a GED or high school equivalence. But we do refer them out, to various agencies, or even DCPS, Blue State, Roosevelt State, Academy of Hope. And so we do refer them out to different agencies once we find out that they do not have a high school degree. But that is a roadblock that we hit. And then eligibility, health insurance, all that stuff, those are just metrics that we take to kind of measure effectiveness. Eligibility to work, you have to be able to work in DC. But anyway, something like their employment status. We want to be able to gauge whether you were employed or unemployed when you came to WDLL. And then also, what was your increase in income? If you came here making $20,000 versus leaving making $30,000, $35,000. A typical day of registration looks as such. They will come in, bring their documents. That's the DC ID, birth certificate, Social Security, some type of diploma or transcript. They have a proof of residency, which is really within those 4 documents as well. They will come in, do an information session as such, like you all essentially just went through, minus a couple of slides. Then they take the CASAs. After the CASAs, they get their scores interpreted, which then we determine if they meet those basic required scores to enter into the program that they're seeking to enter into. After that, they'll meet with an advisor. An advisor sits down with them, and we talk about short and long-term goals. We talk about the course curriculum, and how long will it take you to gain the certification that you're seeking. Tell me what job you're interested in. Tell me what do you want to do. Why do you want to do that job? Okay, now these are how our programs fit into that. Okay? Then after that, we also introduce them to, well, they kind of fast forward ahead of me, but our career services, okay? And a lot of our student support services that we have. These are our career counselors. These are our employer outreach specialists. These are our retention specialists. And these are also our student success specialists. All of these, this entire team is really geared around essentially, cultivating the student and figuring out every way possible that we can help this student and provide either internal or external resources for this student to be successful in our program. Without any further ado, any questions?
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a printout of a print manuscript of what you just showed on the screen? I'm the secretary, so I want to get accurate what you had to say.
Okay.
Can we give you a copy of the
I can definitely send you a copy of the PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
yes, sir.
Yes, and I'll give you my card before I leave. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave early because I'm supposed to be on a train to New Jersey to be a keynote speaker for this type of function tomorrow.
Oh, so you're a high in demand man.
Yeah. No, I just came in from another meeting before it was over. Yeah, 3 meetings in a row.
One of the things we didn't announce, we can, and just for the benefit of the secretary.
Why don't you give your name?
Our meetings are being recorded.
Oh, great! You have to record it now.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Our meetings are being recorded,
Yeah,
but
this
we
is
do
a new
welcome
first.
any handout that you have.
The Honorable Arthur Burnett is our secretary.
Yeah.
So I want to share a quick story and then a suggestion. I actually went through the workforce development program. I took a project management class back in April. I think it was. I completed it. And initially, it was just me saying to younger guys that I know, hey, there's a free opportunity for courses. And I use social media to kind of journal my whole, I guess, trek through the class. And what I realized is what you mentioned in the presentation is that, one, it's far more rigorous than I expected it to be. For me, my goal was to get people to sign up themselves and to go back and get, some sort of level of certification in a certain area. And I found myself in a position where, you know what, this class is really kind of difficult, right?
Double down.
Double down. And I began to think about the population that individually I've kind of dedicated myself to. And my suggestion is that as a commission, we really need to do, I would say 2 things. One, look at a way in which we can advocate to connect some of those GED programs to actually funnel them right to workforce development. For 2 reasons. One, there may be some among that population that may not be eligible based on the CASAS test scores and things like that. But then secondly, a lot of times, from my experience, the young men who get GEDs later in life, they're not applying that knowledge as soon as they get it.
Right.
So if we can get them on a GED track, get that certification, and then push them right to WDLL, then that kind of keeps it going. The second thing I would say, as far as documentation, for me, I'm a college graduate, and I couldn't find my degree. It was in my mom's house somewhere, right? So I had to actually go, and my mom and I were like scraping around trying to find it because, I got the degree. That was what was important to me, not necessarily holding on to it, right? And so I found myself like the night before I had to go register, trying to find all these documents. And so what I would say as a commission as well is that in the event that we've got, especially an at-risk father or at-risk young man or a group of them that have to go through this process, that in the event that we can partner with an agency that provides that documentation, that somehow we can expedite that, because they can become discouraged too if they have to go to the SSN office or somewhere else and they've got to stand in this crazy line and they don't really know what they have going on. If there's some way that we can kind of certify a letter through the agency that can expedite it for them, because if they're at risk, we want to be able to save those folks, and we don't want a long line or them being pushed around from different agencies to get this documentation.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't, say that we do lose a certain number of men. We lose our guys to this necessarily because of those documents, and then by the time that they don't leave back, and so they don't leave the PR Harris registration to go and get their documents. They go and then they wait a couple of days. And then a couple of days, they go down there and they say, oh, well, you need these documents, so come back before we can get you, your birth certificate or your GED. So then now that's a couple of more days. Now, they've missed the registration period. Okay, so now they have to wait another 3 to 4 months before they can register. And there's so much that happens within that 3 to 4 months that we lose our guys. We continuously lose our guys. Yes.
Well, see, that's another reason I was asking about. That's a flip side of marketing as well. If the potential student comes through a program, as Frank was discussing, I was discussing a program, the program can help them to be ready when they come by going through that process. Now, individuals that just come in off the street, so to speak, from a marketing standpoint, it might be a little different. But part of, when we were doing it at Concerned Black Men, part of what you have to, it's a double-edged sword, because part of what you want to press to a young man or for anyone coming through the program is that, you know, they're going to be expected to do what you do or what you do or what I do. I mean, the reality is, I know they may be a returning citizen. I know they may be, recovered drug abuser, alcohol, whatever. But the reality is, this is a process of, as you're applying to college or as you're, applying to a program, they've got to go and get those things. They've got to do those things. And you want to strike a balance. On one hand, you want people to be able to immediately go to the program when they're ready to do it. Because sometimes if you catch them, if they don't do it, then they go off and they won't do it. On the other hand, you want to be able to impress upon them that that's part of what is expected, that they've got to go to gather those documents, particularly with programs that other places cost people thousands of dollars to attend.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the fine balance, that we're really that we struggle in between, is being able to supply high-quality service, high-quality credentials for a student, high-quality certifications, in addition to assist them with kind of like these daily living needs that are going on, which is what we essentially, which becomes some of our obstacles, right? But then to strike that fine balance as to where we're training adults, okay, and not necessarily enabling them or continuing to perpetuate some of the maybe childish behaviors, that typically 18 or 19-year-old would exhibit, and to really welcome them to adulthood, welcome them to manhood. Quick, and I'll get to your question. But quick, for example, printing. We don't allow printing at our sites for students. We simply say, hey, we can't afford that resource. The printer is for the staff. Even faculty, if they want to print, then they have to put in a request a week before. We'll have it sent down from our Van Ness campus. Okay, but students are not allowed to print at our campus. We refer them to the library or various other places and say, well, you should have it to where we print. You're a school, you should have it to where we print. We say, well, we provide free resources, free books, free certifications, free professors. I said, the majority of schools will charge you a technology fee. However, ours is free. So long story short is, there's a give and take balance, that we're struggling here with our guys as well, and with our community, where we really want to provide everything that we can, but we really have to pull them up, to the level, that essentially a working American is really at, to where there's a certain responsibility and obligation and kind of ownership that you have to take for your own future as well, now that you're given this opportunity.
Mr. Gore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Thomas Gore. I had another recommendation for the commission, and that is, I'm with the Community College Preparatory Academy Public Charter School, and we do certifications in A+ help desk. And we are getting guys through, returning citizens through. My recommendation to the commission is that we have to ask you guys to leverage relationships with IT firms to become returning citizen friendly when it comes to employment. Because if I get a certification as a help desk person, and I can't move into an employment position because of my background. So, we could use a lot of help there, because that's another place where frustration sets in. I earned the certification, and now I have to find employment, and the thing that prevents me from getting employment is the fact that I have a record. And so if you guys could leverage relationships to make IT firms a little bit more employment friendly to returning citizens, I think that would be helpful.
We want to field one more question, because we have a second presenter tonight. Two more questions. And yes,
following up with the returning citizen piece, why isn't there more agencies in the Southeast area, the War 8 area, to help with the expungement and sealing of records?
Well, I can just speak on that briefly. All records in the district can't be expunged. District is
it's a timeline. It's a 5-year to 10-year timeline.
No, not only with a certain category. Yeah, it depends upon the crime. And it may be more liberal in Maryland or even Virginia. Now, that is an issue for City Council to look at. I mean, I think it's a very important issue, but it's an issue that City Council needs to look at. Maybe that's something that we might be able to bring to the attention of City Council, to allow a greater category of crimes, convictions, to be expunged. I mean, I would make an argument that after a certain period of time, maybe anything under felony ought to be expunged. It'd have to be obviously a longer period of time. But to answer your question, the district has a finite number of convictions that can actually be expunged.
Right. Count off that, I believe Councilmember McDuffie has
Begun to look at that.
Some legislation being pushed through to hire to ban the box.
Yeah, that's felony, generally speaking.
Yeah, slowly, inch by inch.
Did you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We want to thank Mr. Baker.
Yeah. Thank you.
One
Yes,
final
sir.
question.
Go right ahead.
What is your annual budget at UDC for this program?
For our workforce development program, I believe we are somewhere between maybe about 3 to 4 million with that budget.
Okay.
Yes. Now there's some restructuring of the budget where we may get more funds allocated. I'm not 100% sure, right? So I don't want to start speaking too much on that. But 3 to 4 million, from my understanding, our operating budget.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. So just from the information I've been able to research, just to add to that, I think you guys are close to about 3,000 students. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. Well, yeah, we have had some drop off.
Okay.
This past year, so more accurately, about 2,500 students.
About 25.
In the workforce development program?
Yes.
Now, would you say the question that the commissioner brought up earlier about lack of access to being able to get there, would you say that adds to the attrition rate?
There's several factors that kind of add to that. One is we deleted some of our programs. Say for example, our CNA program, we tabled that for a few semesters, in particular for the 2016 year, just to do some restructuring of it. So we've done a lot of restructuring in our healthcare programs. That attributes to a drop off. But then in addition to just lack of recruiting, lack of getting the word out there. I believe when we first started, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, we had ads on metro buses, ads in the newspapers, maybe even a few commercials. And so, and then, the population was increasing, and then, kind of recruitment stopped. Changes in leadership happens as well. And so, just a lot of different barriers that really attributed to our drop-offs.
Do every high school know about this program?
Say it again?
Do every high school in the city know about this program?
Yes.
I mean, I don't
Now,
think
does
they
every
do.
high school take advantage of this program? No.
I don't think they do.
I know they do.
A lot of high schools, I work with a lot of young people. A lot of students are under the assumption that their GPA is not even going to allow them to get into college.
What high school are you at? I'll personally come there and do an information session.
Currently, I'm a community support worker.
Okay.
And I work with,
Which high school are you saying specifically that doesn't know about WBLL?
this is at,
The reality is you're talking about guidance counselors. You're talking about the folks where information is stopping and stopgapping. I mean, just not flowing. That's really what's happening.
No, but essentially, even with central office, we've had we have a pipeline of different personnel who are involved and who are responsible at getting this information out. So that's why I specifically asked that, because I want to know which high schools we are not reaching, and not just stopping at high schools, but middle and elementary schools, because those are the parents of those young soldiers
Who need the
and
information
so,
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and we need them in our schools during the day. Yes, yes, please do.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Thank you for your time today.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Just for the record, Mr. Chair, for the commission, just going off of some of UDC's notes, they mentioned that if they had roughly about $5.5 million, that they probably could serve over 5,000 residents.
If they had.
If they had.
If they had a total budget of 5.5.
5.5.
Okay.
So that's doing the homework of finding out what their needs are and how they could better serve the residents of the District of Columbia.
How many a total?
A total of 5,000.
5,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so our next presenter is very, very critical to the mission of the commission. Child support serves to help the person caring for a child, the custodial parent, to collect child support from the child's non-custodial parent. And child support also helps those who are divorced to collect spousal support. There are various functions, bulleted functions, that I will go down in terms of what child support does. Locating a child's parent for the purpose of establishing parentage and child support. Establishing parentage. Establishing a child support order. Establishing medical support. Enforcing child support payments and medical supports established by court order. Collecting child support and spousal support payments. Reviewing child support orders to determine whether an adjustment is needed. In addition to this, I think the Child Support Office in the District of Columbia has been very innovative from the time that this commission has interacted with them about a year ago up to our interagency meetings, which they attend on a regular basis. They provide other programs pertaining to fatherhood, employment, and I believe they have some really good amnesty programs. So we have three individuals who are here today. We have Ms. Tanisa D. Bell, who is the Assistant Deputy Attorney General. We have Angelisa D. Young, who is the Manager, First Response Unit, and Mr. Jay Bluford, Case Management Coordinator. He'll be the one doing the presentation for DC Child Support. Mr. Bluford, please come forward.
Well, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Jay Bluford. I'm from the Office of Attorney General, Child Support Division. My goal today is really to educate you on the programs and processes that we have at Child Support and kind of dispel some of the myths that I'm sure a lot of you have heard. One of the big myths that we have, again, we're from the Office of Attorney General, Child Support Division, which is a 4D agency. And basically what 4D means in the District of Columbia, there are two types of child support cases. We have what is called a non-4D case, which actually is an agreement between a non-custodial and a custodial parent. Now the reason why I use those two terms is because what we've noticed in the District of Columbia, a lot of custodial parents are fathers more so than mothers. So custodial parent is basically the person that the child is with the majority of the time, okay? So basically what that means is that if it's a non-4D case, you go in front of a judge, you basically sit with the non-custodial parent, the mother or the father, and you all come to an agreement that, okay, I'll pay $500 a month. And there's really no enforcement action behind that. It's pretty much a private agreement. Now where we come involved is through a 4D agency. We basically are an enforcement agency. So what can happen is let's say me and Ms. Young have a child and we have an agreement. We have an agreement that I'll pay, that she'll pay me $500 a month, and she's not upholding her end. So what I can do is for a $5 fee, come over to our office and switch our case over to a 4D case, which we will enforce.
Are you saying that the private agreement cases
can switch over?
Right, but of those cases, the majority of the custodial parent is primarily male.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
but I don't want to stereotype by saying
no. There's always
women
men.
are a majority of custodial parent because we've seen a lot of fathers are taking care of their child and receiving spousal support as well. Okay. And another myth that we have that we try to dispel in child support is through our goal. A lot of people think that we represent one or the other parents, but in actuality, our goal is to enhance the well-being of the children by assuring assistance in obtaining both financial and medical support for the child. So our main goal is to make sure that the child is taken care of.
Next.
Okay. Again, so our goal is to create a new face of child support, because when we think of child support, people typically think that we're here to take your money and throw you in jail, which is not the case. We really try to change the face of child support through different programs and initiatives, and doing outreach and partnering with community organizations to help assist those that are paying child support. Okay, you can hit the next. And I'll kind of touch back on that in a little bit. You can already talk about that. Okay, so here are some of our numbers of the non-custodial parents in the District of Columbia, by race, by case type, by collections, as well as by gender and ward and equipment. At the bottom, I don't know if you all can see that. I'll give you time to look that over. Now, also, I will say this, and while you all are looking over this, also in the District of Columbia, if you receive TANF, is it Medicaid as well too? So if you receive TANF,
It's questionable because now under the Obamacare.
right. So now under Obamacare, everybody's required to have health insurance. But before it was, if you receive TANF or Medicaid in the District of Columbia, you sign what's called an acknowledgement of rights when you go apply for those benefits. And basically what that means is that if you're receiving benefits from the District of Columbia, they automatically open up a child support case for the opposite parent. Okay? And if the parent that has the child does not comply with that, we will do what's called a sanction, and we will cut your benefits. Okay? Also, and I'll kind of explain the difference between a TANF case and a non-TANF case later on. You can go.
Just a quick question though on your numbers. Do you have, we see where your numbers, which we basically know to be true, in Ward 7 and 8, we see that your numbers are greater, non-custodial parents by ward. Do you have any idea of that? Clearly it's not here, or what that looks like relative to gender?
By ward?
Well, at least 7 and 8. Yeah. Just do you have any sense of that? Just by, we are seeing non-custodial parent by ward, and we see 7 and 8. Right. I'm just trying to identify, do you have any sense of what that number represents by gender?
Not here now, but we can get it for you. We can get that for you.
Okay. I think will be interesting, like looking at that by gender and probably by an age group in the ballpark or somewhere maybe like 18 to 24.
I believe I gave you that information a while back,
well,
but I can give it to you.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Okay.
I'm just, yeah, you may have. I knew Angelique was saying.
Okay, right.
I knew she was saying. But if I went and check, it may not even be there.
Okay.
No,
I'll give it to you. It's all right.
So,
okay.
But I would say the ages would be between 18 and 35.
18, 35. Okay.
And as you see, Ms. Young, make sure I don't miss a beat. And has everything.
Ms. Young and sharp.
Yes.
No
let me
question
say
about
this.
it.
In the process,
we
really try not to establish orders for individuals who could still be considered an earned income credit for their parents, because we need them to be employed so that they can pay their child support. So even though we have those numbers, not necessarily do they have child support cases orders at this time.
Okay, so what do we do at child support? Mr. Duggar kind of went through this prior to me speaking, but one is just to inform the community on the responsibilities and processes and services, as well as locate non-custodial parents. That we do that through our locate unit, establish fraternities in the District of Columbia, as well as establish medical and child support orders. Also monitor to make sure the children receive both financial and medical support, which is actually our goal, and to enforce child support orders, as well as litigate paternity and support cases on behalf of the District of Columbia. Okay, so in terms of note, we kind of went into this already. You can go to the next one, where I discussed non-custodial, custodial parents, dependents, are the children, of course. Establishment, you may hear me say that a lot. That is that goes along with paternity and establishing paternity. As far as acknowledgement paternity, basically what an acknowledgement paternity is, it's a document that is presented to unwed parents that have a child. And we actually have representatives from our office in all of the hospitals that actually are tasked with establishing paternity through AOPs. And basically what AOP is, a document that's presented to both the mother and the father. It's read, all of the terms are read to both parents so that they understand what they are signing. Because with an acknowledgement of paternity, basically what that means is, again, I'm going to use Angelisa as an example. If me and Angelisa have a child, and one of the representatives comes in from CSSD to explain the actual document that I'm signing. And basically what I'm saying is that I believe that I'm the child and I waive my rights to paternity, to DNA, okay? Now, once you sign this document, you have 60 days to rescind this document. If you do not rescind this document, and on 61 days you do a DNA and you find out that child is not yours, you are still responsible for that child, okay?
Right. Well, so you know, I've heard that before. I think it's very interesting.
Now, in some cases,
that legal binding.
In some cases, it can go in front of a judge,
right,
and a judge can overturn that.
Yes.
But he also could not overturn it. Right. Okay. Adjudication by paternity, basically that means you go to court and you say, "This child is mine. I believe this child is mine." And they say, "Okay," and you have officially established paternity. The age of emancipation in DC, meaning your child support order, can last until the child is 21 years of age. Unlike a lot of other states, it's 18. In DC, it is 21. All right, you can go to the next slide. Okay, these are some of the programs that we have at CSSD to benefit our non-custodial parents. It breaks down each one, so you can go to the next slide. Okay, so we call it PAID, but the Project to Avoid Increasing Delinquencies. Basically what this is you will receive a letter from the Office of the Attorney General Child Support Division inviting you to come in and meet with one of our staff members to kind of educate you on the processes of child support. So a lot of people, when they first come into child support, they don't really know anything. They don't know the terms. They don't know when they're supposed to pay, how much they're supposed to pay, or how to read an order, anything. They can come to our office and we can educate them on the programs that we have, as well as the processes of child support. Okay, the first response unit. The first response unit is, Angelisa's actually the manager of the first response unit, and I also work in the first response unit. I like to call the first response unit a triage center in a sense. So when you first walk into our office, we have about 8 specialists up front that can actually assist you with any questions you may have with your child support. Maybe give you payment histories. If your license has been suspended, they'll be able to assist you pretty much to do everything quick so that you don't have to go and meet with a caseworker that may be more time consuming. Also, we have a call center where you can call in. We have an identification number, which is a PIN number. You give them your PIN number and verify who you are, and we're able to answer any questions pertaining to your case so that you don't have to come down to our office. As far as written correspondence, you can write our office as well, and we have a person that will respond to your letters as well, which is a lot of times Angelisa. Also, we have a community outreach unit. We have 2 outreach specialists that basically go out into the community and educate our local partners, a lot of our customers on the different programs and things that we have, kind of like what I'm doing tonight. As well with the outreach section, we actually have, you probably see that big yellow RV that we have. where we actually take out into the community where people that can't make it down to our office, they can actually go onto this mobile and have their child support case reviewed on this mobile. And we actually go to the Giant over on Alabama Avenue, as well as Unity Health right on Minnesota Avenue. We try to go up Northwest, but it's kind of hard with parking. So we've had some issues with that. So we're basically in wards, 5 and down in the southern part of the city. Paternity establishment. We have a lot of initiatives. We know that DNA testing can be expensive. We also offer free genetic testing to minors, which I think we changed the policy to 21 and under, where we can give free DNA testing to those people. And then we also have periods of time where we give free genetic testing to cases that paternity has not been established, to all ages, as well as we'll give $10, $15 gift cards to both the mothers and the fathers that came in and did free genetic testing. Online case lookup, I actually discussed that a little bit. So we have a PIN number that we can give you, and you would probably receive it when you come in, if you come in for that meeting, or you can call in, and we'll be happy to mail you. Well, actually, we can't mail it to you. You have to come to our office to pick it up. And you can review your child support, anything pertaining to your child support case online, so you don't have to come to the office every time you have a question. Okay. So this is a good program. This is our Fresh Start program. We understand that a lot of people who have child support may fall on hard times and fall in arrears. Is everyone familiar with what arrears are? So basically what arrears are basically...
I think that's the one thing that most folks do know about. They don't know about nothing else.
Okay. So what we have is a Fresh Start program. And basically what it is, if you have what we call TANF arrears, which means that the custodial parent was receiving TANF support in the District of Columbia, and you've accumulated arrears, due to that, we have a forgiveness program, which basically is the Fresh Start program. So what would happen is you would come to our office, and the stipulations to this program is if you are $1,000 or more behind on your child support and you haven't made a payment longer than, I believe is it a year? I believe it's a year. We'll enroll you in this program. But the stipulation to this program is that you cannot miss a payment. Now, if you make these consecutive payments, every 6 months, they will knock off 25% of your arrears until your balance is 0. Okay?
What happens if you miss a payment?
You're out the program.
You're out the program, Jack.
Because you sign a contract that you will make every payment.
Right.
Not only that, you're employed. We go through what it's like good faith. So we look at your credit report to make sure that you're working, one, and that you weren't working and you just decided not to pay your child support. So it's kind of like we're going off of good faith. And then you sign the contract. You say you will pay. You understand if you pay X amount of dollars at each point, so much will be forgiven. Right. So most people really like it a lot.
Right.
If you pay two years, if you pay 2 years consecutive, the rest of your it's gone.
That's only for government arrears.
TANF cases, we have to say that.
Government arrears.
cases.
Because, for instance...
Just TANF cases.
Right. For instance, if it's a non-TANF case, that money is not owed to the government, so we can't forgive the money that you're supposed to pay to the mother. Now, the mother has the custodial parent. Now, the custodial parent has the option to come in and forgive you for those arrears. She could say, I forgive you for the arrears, but you can still pay me support. Or, you don't have to pay me support anymore. I just want my arrears money. Okay?
So irrespective of what your remaining balance is after 24 months of consecutive payments.
It's
TANF. Because that's a reimbursement, right?
Right. And then let me explain this as well too. So when you receive TANF in the District of Columbia, right, and they take the non-custodial parent for child support, we have what's called a pass-through. And basically with that pass-through, you only receive $150, up to $150 of the money that the NCP is paying. The rest of that money goes to the government, okay? So when I say up to, that means if I go to court and I'm paying child support and my child's mother is receiving TANF and my child support order is $500, right? Out of that $500, only $150 of that is going to the mother. Yeah. Now, if it's consistently coming in, they will automatically terminate your TANF and just require you to take the full amount of the money, if that makes sense. Okay?
Terminate the TANF.
The TANF, right. Because if you're receiving, let's just say you're receiving $300 a month in TANF for your child, right? But I'm paying $800 a month consistently. You're kind of losing money in a sense, and you're costing the government money. So you might as well just take the full amount of the $800 that I'm consistently paying and take that, and then we'll relinquish the TANF.
Let me answer a question. So, go ahead.
Can I say something really quickly?
Yeah.
Jay kind of alluded to it when he talked about being a 4D agency. And it's 4D under the Social Security Act. So primarily when child support was created, it was created to get that government fund that was put out into a child to recoup it. Yes. And that's why the CP, the person who has a child, signs at the TANF office, they sign what they call an assignment of rights. And what they're doing is they're saying, okay,
you can go out.
I'm receiving this money, part or all of my child support then belongs to the District of Columbia. So that's why we're able to do certain programs with TANF dollars. That's why we're able to, the 150, as well, that slide's gonna come up, but the 150 pass-through. And that's to help them rise above the poverty level. It's also a way for a parent, the non-custodial parent, to feel as if they're putting into the family. So, and it doesn't affect, if you know about TANF, TANF is income-based. So when you go to the TANF office and apply for TANF, you say, I have no money. So what we're able to do, because we're a partner agency, to say, okay, fine, this person can get $150. It won't affect their TANF, but now this NCP feels good, they're putting into the family. It's raising them above the poverty level, and like Jay said, after 3 consecutive months, if your child support is more than your TANF, then we let the TANF office know, and then you're taken off of TANF so you can get your child support directly.
So, quick question. With the intercept of federal income tax return, if a non-custodial parent is on an agreement with the District of Columbia to pay arrears or whatever the case may be, on an agreement, doesn't come set up and we're making a payment, will the district take that federal income tax return?
Yes, we can.
Yes. And we garnish taxes, lottery winnings.
Right. So I got so here's the thing. This is what I find very.
But I will say this. I will say this.
Yeah.
Now, the only time we will take your taxes is if you owe more. I think than it's $800.
No,
or if you're behind $800. Oh, $2,000.
Okay.
We will garnish your
so
income
the district
tax.
is set. Okay. So Maryland, PG County is set at 500. So I tell you what's very interesting with this, and I encountered this many years ago when I paid child support and it was in PG County.
But we can't actually talk
About your personal case.
So let's just.
Right. So let me do a hypothetical, right? So I'll do a hypothetical. But all right. And the reason why, because I posed this particular argument, and it was a very interesting argument. I think it may be something that it created a systems issue, right? So the argument was, if you come into an agreement with an entity, that agreement becomes a contract of payment, then how can you penalize a person who makes those payments by taking their federal income tax?
Because in the agreement, it states that we have a right to garnish those things. See, that's the.
But I don't think it came up in that, and I don't want to talk jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but actually the argument was sustained, that there was really like no coordination between what the law says around collecting your federal income tax and what the office was actually enforcing is related to an agreement that was established between a non-custodial parent. So, I think that that's just kind of interesting, maybe something to think about, because if you have a non-custodial parent who entered into an agreement and really making, because they're paying that child support, and to come in and just to swoop in from nowhere and take that income tax check, just because there is a threshold amount, am I correct? There's a threshold amount that triggers that intercept, right? Okay, anyway.
And that's on the federal level, that's not on a district level.
Well, every jurisdiction has to make that request.
That's on the federal level.
But every jurisdiction has to make that request to the federal government for that intercept.
And to be clear, there are times when we have worked with non-custodial parents to say, you are paying religiously, you have established this record, but if you just started paying, you're just establishing a record, and we see this chunk of money, you're right, we want it to go towards the child.
They gonna grab that money.
You
are just not gonna be. I got this windfall. Okay, that's not happening. Ms. Bluefield, we want to give you about 10 more minutes.
Okay. Well, this is a very important program that we have. We have what we call an alternative solutions program, and basically, what this program is designed to do is to bring resources to our non-custodial parents that may be struggling to make payments. So a lot of times, what we've seen in the past is where an NCP will go in front of the judge, and the judge will be like, "Well, why haven't you made any payments for?" I don't have a job. I can't find a job, or I can't get adequate job training. So we as an agency decided to step in and partner with community organizations to try and create an opportunity so that those barriers don't prevent you from paying child support. So we actually have partnerships with different organizations such as DC Central Kitchen, Building Futures, where we help our NCPs try to find some sense of employment. You can go to the next slide. Okay, and this is important because this goes to the point with the question that you asked. So if you roll in the program, a lot of times you say, okay, well, I can't afford to pay. I lost my job. I can't afford to pay my $800 order or my $500 order. You have the ability to go to the court and put in ask for a downward modification. And basically what that is you would go over to the court, file a motion. Either myself or Angelisa would be the ones to sign that motion. You would get a court date. You would go in front of a judge, bring all of your documentation, stating, that I'm no longer making the money that I'm making and I can't really afford to pay my current child support order. And the judge, because we are a judicial state, so all child support orders are set by judges. No one can do it in our office. And he can change that order. Also, we have a program for our our incarcerated NCPs. In the District of Columbia, if you are incarcerated at your sentencing, you have the ability to let the judge know that you have a child support order, or if you are incarcerated, a family member can contact our office and let us know that this individual is incarcerated, and we will actually, I don't want to use the wrong terminology, modify your order to a zero order until you are released. And we will actually give you a 6-month cushion after release to get back on your feet before that child support order is put back into place. Now also, if your license is suspended and you bring, you have to come with some type of ID, but if you bring documentation from, say, your probation officer or the halfway house, will actually release your license to you, and you can go and lift the suspension off of your license if it has been suspended during the time that you've been incarcerated. So a family member can call. All they have to say is give the DOC number, let us know, where the individual is incarcerated and that they are incarcerated. A mother, father, girlfriend, anybody can call, and we will actually investigate that and then put it to a zero order upon their release.
Why the child supposed to pay people's license?
It's just a form of enforcement.
That is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Get your attention.
It's not getting attention. It's making
No, I
the
understand.
situation worse.
No, I understand.
Yeah. That's just one of the tools that they have. Yes.
I have a question. When the period that person may be incarcerated is not paying child support, now someone has to pay, if the government is paying funds to their mother. When that person is out of the job, that money that was paid to them custodial parent, do the non-custodial parent have to pay that back? Is there a
No,
rate on that?
no,
It's not?
no. Not if it's modified. Now, if they never let us know that they're incarcerated, then that money's just going to continue to accumulate. But if they come and let us know, or they let the judge know at their sentencing, they will actually modify that order to zero.
It's modified to zero.
No, it's not automatic.
I'm talking about for the victim status. Once
Zero
the
order.
amount has been set, is there a period where they come in and check the income of the father and the mother?
So I tell my NCPs to come in all the time. Like the gentleman touched on before, it's a sense of accountability as well too. You know, we're not going to hold your hand through the process. It's your job to come in, communicate with us. You know, if you can't make a payment, come in and talk to us, because it looks good when you go in front of a judge and we got it in the notes that, you know, Mr. Jenkins came in and let us know that he lost his job and he was struggling with making a payment. You know, sometimes we'll even work with you on suspending your license because we don't want to hinder you from getting a job. So if you miss payments and your license is suspended and you're like, well, I got this job opportunity, all you have to do, you'll come say, I'll say, okay, give me a letter from your hiring manager stating that you will be starting this position. We'll call, we'll verify, we'll give you your license. Now, if you go another 60 days without paying, we're going to suspend it again. But that's pretty much. So we don't want to really hinder you. We want to help you, but we want to hold you accountable as well, too.
As it relates to these trends, you talked about you're seeing more and more fathers being, primary custodians of children. Do you have any insight into what is maybe creating this trend? Well, you know what's interesting. There is some insight to it, and he really alluded to it, right? So having worked in, male programs, fatherhood programs for many years,
Well, I will say this. What I've noticed, actually being out in the community and talking to a lot of the guys, they basically, a lot of guys don't come in and get child support because they feel like it kind of makes them less than a man to do so. And I tell them all the time, don't think for 1 second that she won't take you. Why not take her? You know what I mean? And the child needs help. And I'm just
It's about the child. It's not about your manhood.
And it's about providing for the child. So a lot of fathers actually don't come in and open up cases when they actually should.
When there is a non-custodial parent that is a mother who is working.
Right. Exactly.
So here's an insight. I think that is worth noting for the commission, that the young fathers now, many of our young people are homeless, and they're realizing that a lot of benefits are attached to the child. We've had cases where young fathers were living with the mother of the child, primary, the custodian of the child, and have found themselves being put out of public housing accommodations because they weren't on the lease and those kinds of things. And so now they are identifying that if I am in a position of taking care of this child, guess what? I can also get these benefits as well. And it's a very interesting trend, never seen it in 25 years of working in fatherhood up until the last 5 to 7 years prior to taking on this job for the last 2 years. But it's a very interesting occurrence that's going on, particularly on the Eastern River. You see these young guys now pushing their kids, and they realize that there are benefits attached to their child.
I want to give you a few minutes to wrap up.
Okay. All right, you can go to the next one. And that's our mobile that goes out into the community. You can go to the next one. Also, I definitely want to touch on this. Coming soon, you can go to the next one. In June, we're actually partnering. I'll talk about this. We actually have a mobile app. You understand? At least my generation, we're always on our cell phones and always got a laptop or something close by. So actually, we're creating a mobile app where where NCPs and both CPs can go and review cases and stuff like that. Will they be able to make payments for that? I don't.
Eventually they will. We addressed that phase one.
Right, eventually, because we've noticed a lot of times people think they're afraid to come down to our office because they think that we'll throw you in jail. In all honesty, jail is like the last resort when it comes to child support. Really, the only time they would probably do it is if you were just non-compliant. You don't come to court. You don't do anything that we've asked. They may result to that, but even still, they may not. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a misconception that we have about child support. You go to the next one. And in June, we've actually partnered with MedStar, as well as I believe it's Howard University Cancer Center, to do a fatherhood conference where we actually want to bring all of the resources that can benefit fathers, as well as have, we want to partner definitely with you. So I'm going to get your information once you leave. And the gentleman back here with UDC. We basically want to bring all the resources that we can to just highlight fathers and know that you're not forgotten, because we understand that a lot of times in the city there's a lot of events centered around mothers. And we'll also have the Attorney General there as well, and a bunch of different seminars to kind of educate our fathers on job training and different resources that will assist them with that. And that'll be, right now we're looking at June 10th. It's not in concrete, but we'll make sure that you get that information. And this is just where our office is located, down at 441 4th Street, right by the Judiciary Square Metro.
Well, I would, first off, we want to thank you for coming. One thing I would say, I think that over the past, let's say, 5 years or so, your office has done a very good job of this outreach, letting people know that that they have more to gain from cooperating with your office than from running from the office. I mean, the mindset of a young person, particularly those in returning citizens, all right, I need to hide from these people. And I think the office has done a good job of, one, engaging other partners in the community and creating a more friendly face to the agency.
Because we really want to work with you instead of working against you. I tell my NCPs that come in all the time, it's kind of like a cut. If you don't treat the cut and you just ignore it, it's just going to get worse. But if you treat it, and you come in and you talk to us, we'll be willing to work with you and even help you.
It's just not in your interest to put somebody in jail. I mean, you're not getting the money from them.
So is the trend going up in terms of corporations?
Yeah, just don't get cut. Don't cut yourself.
It's gradually going up. I remember walking in rooms and people would be like, "Oh God," when they say child support. But now I hear more and more NCPs saying that they really like child support. And why do they like it? They like it because they're in relationships with people who are kind of inconsistent. So sometimes are there child support payments? This month I want $500. Next month I want $1. So now they notice that if what we're trying to do is right size orders that really work for them, they really appreciate it. And like one guy said, and it was kind of sad, and I don't know, he said, "I know that's all I have to pay." So I think you're going to pay more as a parent of adult children,
yes.
But this is what I'm hearing. So I believe that the culture is changing. The culture now, and what we've done with outreach, what we've tried to do really hard is take out the emotional stance of child support and put in a logical thought. And the logical thought is that there is a child that needs to be taken care of. So we're going to have to co-parent, and we're going to have to coexist to have a healthy adult, so that that child won't then repeat what has happened already. Because if you notice, kids who get child support from their parent tend to graduate from high school.
Yeah.
They tend to not have children at a young age. All those things go into it. So we try to educate people on those types of things. While we have to do what we have to do. Yes, we do the lottery. Yes, we do a driver's license. But why do we do it? We do it so primarily to get your attention. Hey, you're not doing what we need you to do. So now, how are you doing? You're coming in. You want to know if you could get your driver's license back. So, that's why we do what we do. We don't do it because we like doing it. We do it because we have to do it sometimes. I think it's nothing more. I ask parents sometimes when I'm talking to them, like, what's your child's birthday?
If they come up blank,
Did you hear?
that's
Did you hear
a problem. Yeah.
That's what I hear sometimes. But I know if you are putting out money in it, like most people, you're going to know what's going on with your child. I love when an NCP comes into the office and says, you know what, I pay this money, and he always comes over with the same sneakers on. That means somebody is paying attention to a child. And maybe, just maybe, they'll put all of us out of business if someone is paying for a child.
Corporation greatest between 18 and 25 or 26 and over?
That's a good question.
Well, you know what?
I think the younger.
I think the younger group is
more cooperative.
Yes, they are. After they get over their anger.
Yeah.
You know, after we get over, I was tricked. You know, I go through that. You know, and really, and we're very customer centered. My group, that is so important for us. You know, even when they tell me they've been tricked, I say, well, how old were you when you found out where babies came from? And they kind of laugh.
You weren't really
like,
tricked
okay,
back.
so you allowed yourself to be tricked. You know, that's something else that child support is trying to do. Not see the sea of faces, but see individual faces as we deal with people. Yes, sir.
You brought the example of the father identifying a trend of the same clothes, right? I have a young man I'm mentoring, and he wanted me to ask this specifically because he couldn't be here tonight. In the event that he notices something like that, and he's not at a point where he's continuing to go before a judge, but he wants to bring that up. Two things. One, how does he do that? And then secondly, is it to his advantage to have a lawyer, and how does he identify a lawyer that will be able to help him given his situation?
I'm going to say what I say to all of my NCPs. We are a judicial state. We are a 40 agency. That means we only represent the District of Columbia. However, dealing in a judicial arena, if you were dealing in a judicial arena for any other reason, you would have attorneys standing beside you.
Okay.
So I would do that. And that's something else we do in our office. We partner with like neighborhood legal services. So when someone says that, we give them the information so then you can get an attorney on a sliding scale. So we, so we do that. And we also, we really try hard to let them know that as it relates to child support, because that's all we basically do. We don't do, like, that would be CFSA, Child and Family Services. My child is not being treated properly. He can make an anonymous call. They have a hotline number.
Okay.
I give out the hotline number all the time.
So he would go through CFSA, file a complaint.
He could go on the hotline.
Okay, all right.
He could do that.
But see, my question would be, is he asking that question because he's trying to attain custody of the child? And if he's trying to obtain custody of the child, we don't handle custody, you would have to go to the custody court.
He's talking about his money not believing money not being used effectively. Right.
He's talking about a child not being taken care of.
Yeah, I think there is a side of him that wants to fight for custody, but I think it's more so in the meantime the money thing. Yeah.
And we also have an access and visitation center. That's where we can send parents if they want to, like when they want us to visit their kids, someone who's clinically licensed to look at the exchange, to say, hey, yes, every time this kid comes here, it looks like this, or the child is not being brought here at that time. Those are the kind of services he would go for.
Okay.
All right.
One final question, then we'll wrap up.
Is there a carve out for juvenile parents, or are juveniles are subject to the same laws you described here?
Like I said, we try not to start orders against anyone who could be earned income credit.
Gotcha.
Because we don't make grandparents pay for children. However, we do work very closely with teen pregnancy programs. Right. What's the name of the group in DC Public School? What's the name of it?
I mean, like 16-year-old young man.
Yes, we do.
Non-custodial who is supposed. Does he owe?
No, if he's earning, his parents are paying for him.
Right.
So
you can't. Okay, so then you can. Okay, right.
We can't do an injured parent.
I understand.
Just like we can't do an injured spouse.
Sure.
Oh, and I forgot one.
And those are to what age though?
What?
Once he turns 18.
Once he's no longer earned income credit.
Right. Gotcha.
Whatever the age that
One other major.
Mine's 32.
I think that's 18.
That I forgot to say is that if an NCP is receiving TANF, his child, he's not obligated to pay. We cannot open up a child support order against someone that is receiving TANF. That is receiving TANF. Okay. So I did forget to say that.
We want to thank Ms.
thank you.
Ms. Bell, Ms. Young, Ms. Buford for showing up tonight, making the presentation, very informative. We need the commission will take this information from both of the presentations and factor it into the report and plan that we're doing in 2017. Are there any other announcements to be made tonight?
Well, our next meeting will be in the month of February,
and we will also announce our schedule for 2017 soon.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing coming out, of course, we will talk among ourselves, the commission body, and to the public on our first annual plan coming up.
We definitely need to talk about that. Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
So, thanks all agencies.
If there's no other business, I entertain a motion for adjournment. Yes. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I know everyone's ready to go home. I just want to introduce myself. I am Terrence May. I'm a faith community specialist with the Department of Human Services. We work in collaboration with the Office of Religious Affairs. We're actually been mentoring families here in the DC area for going on 3 years now in conjunction with the faith community. We're now expanding that to work with 2 other populations that we found through our data that are not being serviced properly, and that's grandparents and fathers. So we'll be starting our fatherhood initiative in March, and we'd love to collaborate with you and have further information about our initiative. We just applied for a few months ago, applied for RPF, the National Fatherhood Initiative, and we're granted approval for our actual program. And so we'll be getting trained in that in the next couple of months. Actually, next month, this is December. So we'd love to partner with you, and I have information available for you.
You share that information, Mr. Duggar?
Absolutely.
Yes, I've emailed several times, but I haven't received a return email or phone call.
Okay.
So we love to, talk that quickly.
Okay. Thank you. Entertain a motion for adjournment? Commissioners?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.